Marvel Rivals has a trolling problem. It's so bad that you might even be the problem. Now, before we talk about trolling, because I know a lot of you guys have some special ideas about what it is, trolling is not a player that's doing poorly. That's just a player not having a good game. I've had many games where I was like 2-25. Hey, it happens. Look at your history, it's there. The second thing is trolling is not EOMM. Whatever you think that is, it doesn't control players. I can log into Marvel Rivals and just decide not to play the game, and that's not EOMM, that's personal behavior. So I just want to separate those two things because they both don't even. I'm probably still gonna get those comments, but you know, the ones that are smart, y'all know what I'm trying to say. I also want to ask you guys a little brief question. Let me know in the comments below what you think. But do you think punishment should have more punishment? There's way too many throwers for it to just be we're punishing all of them. They just happen to be cut one head off and 3 more grow. I just feel like the punishment is not enough to stop them from doing it. The punishment that we have right now is like 15 seconds or 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, you know, whatever. But the timer ticks when you're offline. So if I troll, get a notification, I can get offline and I'll come back later. That's not a punishment, that's just a break. I want to see some things where you can't play for a few days or you're locked out of ranked for a few, you know, something more. But I could be being biased. Again, let me know what you think in the comments. Let's hop into the 3 that we're talking about though. Kicking it off with number 1, the most common troller that I personally see is someone who decides to lock in Black Widow or any other character and they just don't play the game. They run off the map, they go AFK, whatever, but you don't have a 6th player and you're just forced to play 5v6, which sucks because when you lose, you still lose an insane amount of points for someone not playing the game. There should definitely be a detection system to say this person is not having this person isn't close to the stats that's needed for this character, for this ranked, something's going on. But for some reason, that doesn't exist, and I just hope that it does exist. But that's one that I usually see the most, whether it be because their character got banned out, or you didn't ban something that they wanted banned, or maybe someone else picked their character that they wanted, so like, I'm gonna troll and throw the game, but whatever. That being inside of a ranked mode is a problem. And we already are dealing with inflation, mind you. There's a lot of players that don't belong in certain ranks because the ladder is all messed up. But we also have people intentionally not playing the game, causing players to lose matches that they probably otherwise would have won. So I would definitely like to see something more to this player because it's straight up obvious to see the stat line and be like, this much damage or this much healing or this much tanking, and this player in X rank on X character has nowhere near close to any of this. That should be a flag and the system should detect that. Again, I think we should have more punishments because this punishment that we have ain't nothing. We need better than this because they just turn around and do it again. I see the same people doing it day after day after day after day. So clearly the punishment ain't good enough and we need to do something more about it. But that is one that I see the most. Let's hop into number 2. The second most common, and this one I think is the more frustrating one because you can technically win the match, but it just gets thrown later. And so what typically happens is you have a 2-2-2 comp and the DPS that's on Srategist, you start losing and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna go DPS too. And now you're sitting up here with 2 tanks, 3 DPS, and 1 healer. Now the 2 tanks are gonna have to figure out what we do. You know the other 2 DPS are not about to swap, so 1 tank has to solo tank while the other one heals, or you're just not about to have a healer. This happens way too much and towards the end of the game. This is why I personally want role queue, because role queue will eliminate a lot of this nonsense that happens when people get stuff taken away from them or they get a role they don't want to play or whatever. Like, it eliminates a lot of this when you can just queue into the role and you should be a happy camper majority of the time. I understand why they don't want it right now, but I guarantee that's coming because this trolling is out of hand. Either we force 2-2-2 and make something happen, or we have better punishments, because this is just making the game horrible, and we already have a problem with inflation. Poppin', stop talking about inflation. I'm sorry, I can't stand it. There's way too many players climbing and they shouldn't be. If you had a game with me, I probably called you inflated. You know I did. Regardless, I cannot stand this ego swapping. I cannot stand the Cloak and Dagger swapping to Spider-Man, thinking that's gonna be the solution, or the Cloak and Dagger swapping to Namor. Like, whatever. They just feel like, well, we're losing. If I were DPS, I'd play better than you. And then they play DPS and throw the whole entire match that we could have won if they just stayed on Strategist, or at least ask somebody to swap, and then they can just swap together. That is a less intentional throw from the start, but it's, again, more frustrating when it happens towards the end of the match after you wasted your life of about 15 minutes because someone just decides, you know what, if I DPS, if you DPS, you wouldn't be in the rank, brother. That's my thing. Okay, if y'all gonna say, if I go from strat to DPS and that's supposed to work, why are you in this rank? You should be rank 1 right now if that's the solution. If you that good. I'm sorry, a little emotional, but it happens. So y'all watch my streams, y'all know it happens. I can't stand it. Let's move on to number 3. Moving on to number 3, this thrower think they slick. No, because this thrower has an out. This thrower isn't intentionally throwing the match because they are doing what you asked them to do. The problem is they have no experience on doing what you asked them to do. So if you're like, hey, we need another strat, and they don't want to, whether or not they play strategists, they just don't want to, they'll lock in Jeff, they'll lock in Adam, they'll lock in Ultron. Job done, I'm doing it. And they have no experience on those characters. But then when you start losing, they swap to Lord Cloak and Dagger or Lord Invisible Woman, and just, why? Why? Same thing goes for DPS. If you're forcing someone to DPS, that's a lie and a half. Ain't nobody forcing someone to DPS. They're always a DPS player most of the time. Now, there are some games, but I hardly see anyone do this on DPS. They just pick an easy DPS and try their best. So I don't usually see it with DPS. I see it more with tanks and supports. So let's just say someone forces a tank and they want a DPS. They're going to pick Angela. Why? I don't know. They can't play it, but they're going to try it. And they're just going to throw. So again, it's more like a passive aggressive throw because they are playing the game. The stats are showing they are doing horrible, but they're still functioning. I don't know how I feel about this one because you are technically intentionally choosing a character you do not know, and one of the worst ones, instead of playing a character that you do know to help win the match, whether it is Jeff, Ultron, Adam, whatever. Those characters are fine, but just know how to play. I just don't like Jeff. To be honest, if we being here with ours, I don't like that character. Jeff should just be deleted. I'm just gone. No, maybe that's just me. Regardless, I don't like them picking those characters and then just not doing well when they don't have experience on them. It's just a way to say, well, I'm doing healing. You told me to. I'm just going to pick a throw character then. Fine. When they play other characters. And again, the same for the tank. You want me to play a tank? I'm not going to play Stranger, Magneto, or any of the other easy tanks. I'm just going to play Angela. I always wanted to play Angela anyway. So here I go. And they just throw. And it's just like, bro, I understand this one is probably not something they could do anything about because technically they are playing the game. It just irritates me and I wanted to add it to this list. So now this leads to the question, why are punishments not more severe? It's pretty ridiculous actually how often it happens and how little is done about it. Like if I took a Smurf account and I intentionally threw every single match, I guarantee you I'd be all right. And I'm gonna give you an example because I looked at this account and I think it might've been on stream. This person had 100+ Black Widow matches in one season, and they only won 10. Why are they allowed to play the game? Why are they allowed to play the game? Because if you look at their stats, there's no damage. If you look at their stats, there's no KOs. They literally just aren't playing the match, but they can play 100 games net ease. That type of stuff makes me not want to play the game. And this is actually why I have taken breaks in the past. I love the game, but it is unplayable when you have these inflated players that are not good enough to be there, and then you have trollers or throwers. That is too much to deal with, and that makes games feel like coin flip. Now, I don't believe in EOMM. Don't even say that. I don't believe in it. This is just players being stupid. All right, that's what it is. It's players doing things that they shouldn't be doing because they get away with it. As far as inflation goes, that was just kind of an issue that they kind of screwed up on their own, and we're just slowly trying to fix it. So I can't even talk about that one at the moment. But the thrower thing, again, there's too much. But I don't want to tie you guys up because I could talk about this for like 17,000 hours about how I can't stand throwers. But let me know in the comments below. Do you guys have issues with this? Are you guys like, Papa, my games are fine. I don't know what you're talking about. Are they ruining your matches? And again, I feel like this is a loaded question because I feel like a lot of players will say that they have throwers and they just aren't winning games. It has nothing to do with throwers. It's just they think someone playing a character that they're not good at is throwing. And that's not. If they are a lord on the character but they just suck, that's not throwing. If they pick a character and you're telling them to swap and they don't want to, that's not throwing. None of that is throwing. They are playing the character that they want to play that they're good at. And if they're having a bad game, they're having a bad game. That's not throwing. But intentional throwing where they do not play the match and you guys have to surrender because the player is not playing the match or because the roles are not filled properly. Let me know those stories in the comments below because I would love to read them. Maybe next video that I do a Let's Chat, I'll read some of them and we could talk about, you know, what's going on and how it makes everybody feel. But thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. As always, you guys mean the world to me. And until next time, you know what I always say. Thank you guys for doing what? Popping often. we lost her.